When we're having trouble printing, we can ask ourselves some questions to troubleshoot the printing problem as well. The first question would be, is the printer turned on and is it online? Depending on the type of printer that you're using, there should be some indicator lights to let you know that the printer is in fact turned on and that it is online and ready to receive a print job. The second question would be, is the correct printer selected as a default? In other words, maybe we are printing, but we aren't printing to the printer that we're looking at. Maybe the computer has more than one printer, and we're actually printing to a printer that is down the hall. And in that case, we're standing at the wrong printer waiting for our job to come out, and that it's not going to come. So what we need to do is to take a look at our print properties and see whether we've got the right printer selected as a default and whether we've actually selected the particular printer that we wanted to print to. Next question could be, can an application software program other than the current program use the printer? In other words, if we're trying to print something out in Word and it's not printing, then we might try to print something just in an Excel spreadsheet or from Notepad or from some other application. Especially if we're trying to print something from a proprietary application, something that the company uses that's specific to the company, because there might be some other printer drivers involved with that. So we might just try another application and see whether we can narrow it down to the fact that maybe there's something wrong with the application and not something wrong with the printer at all. Another question would be, is the printer using the correct driver? Does the driver need updating, and is the driver correctly installed? One way to check to see whether the printer is using the correct driver or not is to print a test page from our printer properties. If we, in Windows 95, if we go to Start, under the Start button, click on the Start button, and then go to Settings, and then Printers, then we'll see the different printers that are available to that computer. If we right-click on one of those printers and then go to Properties, that will bring us to this page. Then we can click to print a test page, and we'll be printing the test page then from the operating system and bypassing the application. If we can print a test page from the operating system, then that means that the drivers are correctly installed. And if we can print a test page from the operating system but cannot print a test page from the application, then there's a problem with the application itself. Some printers also give us the capability to print a test page locally at the printer, and that would even take the operating system out of the loop. So then if we could print a test page from the printer itself, but not be able to print a test page from the operating system, then we do in fact probably have a problem with drivers in the operating system. Another question would be, could we move the printer to another computer and print from it? Or will another printer work on this computer? In other words, we can switch out the components just like we did with a keyboard or with a monitor. This is especially useful if you're in a business situation where you have some printers to be able to switch out. So by logically determining how far that print job can go, or at what point we're not able to print, then we can begin to determine whether it's a print driver or whether we've got another problem with the printer, perhaps the cable, or another issue with the printer itself. We'll talk about printers in particular later on in this section, but as far as troubleshooting is concerned, the main thing to know is to just work the logic out in your mind and see how far that print job is getting, and if possible, to switch out to try another component. all good troubleshooting starts with proper maintenance of PCs. So we'll talk about maintenance of PCs in our next section.